Hey guys, Ruminating Reaper here. So, I just finished watching Andor, the brand new Star Wars series on Disney Plus. I had been looking forward to this, sort of initially when this was first announced, as one of the slate of Disney Plus projects, along with like Obi-Wan. I sort of questioned, did we really need this? Because it's not that I don't like the character of Cassian Andor or anything, because I even have this like Funko Pop bobblehead of him, so it's just considering they died at the end of Rogue One. Well, all of the leads died at the end of that film, but because we know how his story ends, would there really be, would there really be any like sort of stakes or compelling compelling arcs that lead him to that? It's sort of that very much that prequel thing of just because we know how it ends. The stakes feel lowered by default as a result. But honestly, this show was really, really, really fucking good. Like this was just 12 episodes of just pure excellent television, and they do a really, really good job of actually building on Cassian Andor's character, allowing him to be more fleshed out and more like nuanced and compelling over the course of these 12 episodes. Obviously, we've got a second series of the show yet to come, which will build his character further and lead us right into Rogue One, where he was at the start of that film. But right now, if they can stick the landing, then boy, this will be so satisfying. Because this season, this season just keeps getting better and better as it goes on. Right off the bat, sort of my real issue is that there's some slightly slow moments, mainly at the first few episodes, as it's slowly putting all the pieces into place and setting everything up. But it's so worth it, because once it kicks off from there, what I have is so satisfying and just so compelling to watch. But this season has about 4 individual arcs within it. We've got the stuff on Ferrix, and we've got the heist on Aldhani, and then everything on Narkina 5, and then the conclusion, which ties everything all together and delivers a big thrilling climax. I'll get to that later, trust me. But yeah, this and all of these arcs are distinct. They have their own they have their own setup and payoff, and but they're all interconnected. They all lead up. They're all tying into each other. They all lead up to each other, and it all just ends wonderfully with just a thrilling hour of television that is the finale. Of the arcs, I'd say probably my least favourite is the one on Ferrix at the start, simply because this is just where everything's getting set up and all the pieces are slowly being moved into place. But once that big action scene happens in episode 3, which also happens to feature the first ever swear word in a Star Wars project.
Shit. We're under siege.
Everything from there is so satisfying. The Aldhani arc was just so compelling, with the fledgling rebellion taking on a heist of an Imperial garrison. And that pays off wonderfully with episode 6, entitled The Eye. That episode's unreal. It's incredibly thrilling and just a feast for the eyes. My favorite of the arcs was Arcana 5 because yeah, just everything about this point in the season was just top notch. You know, I loved how they built up the atmosphere in Arcana 5. You know, the production design was just absolutely immaculate. You know, this soulless and like imposing look of everything just like being so shiny and white. It's absolutely perfect, and even the way work is carried out there is just so fun with this real like competitive atmosphere where each room has tables that are all up against each other, and each room on each floor is competing with each other. So you know, it's real atmosphere of competition, and even going to your cell for your night's sleep there is a you know a frantic race to get to your cell before the timer runs out and you get fried. And instilling this atmosphere is Andy Serkis's character Kino Loy. Andy Serkis is absolutely brilliant here. He you know has a real you know authoritative atmosphere presence, but with a real tragedy deep below. And Andy Serkis sells it incredibly well. I'm so glad he got a second chance in this franchise, and you know maybe in season 2 we'll get to see more of Kano, hopefully, because his character was just really compelling, and you know it would be a shame if this is all that I have of him. But even then, I still really liked how they handled him, and especially in the finale and at the end of that arc with the breakout of Arcana 5, all the prisoners rising up, taking control, and breaking free. It's incredibly fantastic television. You know, and then from there, obviously, we have the conclusion, which you know, episode 11 is you know relatively like slow. It's quite short and not really much Andor, but you know, it's the but in between that and the finale, it's sort of the perfect like calm before the storm. Because oh my god, that finale was just insanely good. Like, wow, wow. This is television. It was thrilling, epic scale stuff with you know with real emotional payoffs, and you know, and I must admit there is a scene with Andor and a droid that actually nearly made me tear up. It hit quite hard, and this finale just perfectly ties everything the series together, but also leaving a few little breadcrumbs for series 2. It's fantastic stuff. Honestly, none of this would be as thrilling and compelling as it is if it wasn't for fantastic writing and yeah, great characters and performances. Because tonally, this film is actually not what you'd expect from Star Wars. Like, it's a relative slow burner. Like yeah, with the most action we get throughout the series being you know the payoffs to each of the individual arcs this season, it actually you know feels more like you know so a sort of grown up, quite gritty espionage thriller, and I think that tone really works for what creator Tony Gilroy is going for here. It's you know it's Star Wars for grown ups basically, like, and you know I really like that sort of change of pace and breath. There's a real breath of fresh air, you know, rather than having a Star Wars project, you know, it just has to rely on constant lightsaber fights and laser battles. And it means that you know when the action does come, it comes in big, and it's you know all the more satisfying to watch because of it. And really, this more slow burn pace would not work nearly as well if it wasn't for the fact that the characters and the actors playing them are so damn good. Like, yeah, all the characters here are you know are painted more in shades of grey rather than black and white, good and evil. But, you know, everyone has their own agenda in this show, and usually times that's sort of in complete contrast with what they're presenting, and I know that morally grey sort of characterization works wonders because it makes it all the more interesting and compelling to watch because you never know. A reveal could come that someone is in fact working for someone else the whole time, and another character could have plans of their own. But, you know, it's all just so interesting to watch unfold, and the performances here are really good. Diego Luna once again reprises his role as Cassian Andor, and he's really really good. He has this sort of gruff charisma to him, but he has these real layers to his character. I particularly like his relationship with his mother, which is developed throughout the series, and I like how they built up his motivation for wanting to fight against the Empire and tying it into a tragedy that he witnessed as a child, and they perfectly flesh out his character and build on him. And obviously, series 2 will just continue to do that from there until we get to where he was at the start of Rogue One. So we have a complex three-dimensional character, and yeah, how especially in Diego Luna's hands because he's really good here. We also have Stellan Skarsgård as Luthen Rael, and his character and performance, essentially, perfectly summarizes the sort of morally grey nature of what's going on here because he gives this wonderful performance which has a dual nature to it, and he's himself, with the rebellion, he's more gruff and serious and planning the fight ahead, and he sells that stuff very well. But but we also cut the scenes of him, on Coruscant as an art collector, and he gives this more sort of joyous, energetic, light-hearted performance, and seeing the contrast between these two is just so fun. We also have Kyle Soller as Cyril Karn, a corporate security officer who is obviously very gifted at what he does, but has no real prospects and is almost being held back by his dogged loyalty to the Empire. And I really liked how they developed that and built it up throughout. He was a surprisingly really interesting character, and he's almost a villain, but you sympathize with him, and you relate to what he's going through. He's probably the most relatable character in this series. And last but not least, we also have Denise Gough playing Imperial Security Officer Dedra Meero. I really liked how her arc of starting off being this officer who distracted by irrelevances, who eventually becomes an extremely valuable asset to the ISB, and her performance just is this real tough, authoritative figure, and she's great, and it's really fun seeing all of that sort of come undone when she's caught in the middle of the uprising on Ferrix in the finale. It's so sad. It's it's a great arc, and overall, Andor, a really good series. This is probably one of the best Star Wars projects Disney has put out. some slight pacing issues aside, this is just incredibly compelling, at times downright thrilling and emotional television. Bring on season 2, and I'm going to give Andor season 1 a 9 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments, have you seen Andor? What do you think of it? Are you looking forward to series 2? What do you think of Cassian Andor as a character? And would you like to see more of Kino Loy? Because I know I would. Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.